Let's write a C program to find first and second biggest element in an array using recursion. We had already written this program but without using recursion, okay? So please go watch that video, link to which is present on your computer screen right now. Learn the logic, it would be helpful for this video tutorial. And know that this video tutorial has better logic, so please watch this video till the end without fail. I'll be showing you multiple methods, okay? So this is our array with 5 elements in it. So let's get started by writing our main method. Since we are going to find first and second biggest element in this array, let's declare two variables, first and second, and also have some initial values to it. So let's assign the biggest element present at these two locations to variable first, and the second biggest element in these two locations to variable second. It's simple. If a of 0 is greater than a of 1, then assign the value of a of 0 to first and assign the value of a of 1 to second. Else, if this condition is false, that means a of 1 is greater than a of 0, right? So assign a of 1 to first and a of 0 to second. So after execution of this snippet of code, first will have, according to this example, first will have 5 because that's biggest between 5 and 2, which is present at a of 0, and second will have 2, which is present at location a of 1. Now that we have initial values for first and second, let's call a function which we have to define it. I'll call it fs big, first and second big. If you have been following our video tutorials to find biggest and smallest elements in the array, we were passing the base address as first argument. Now let's pass the last address of this array. So to access the last element of the array, we write a of n minus 1. To get the address present at that location, simply append ampersand to it. This is address of operator, okay? So to get the length of the array, just write n minus 1. So here n is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4. So now let's pass first and second. So this is the first call to the method fs big. So return 0. Now we need to define this method. Since this method doesn't return anything, I'll write void as its return type. So void. So please follow along carefully. Void fs big. Since we are passing a address as first argument, okay, this is address of operator, we need to have pointer variable to receive it, okay? I'll call it star num. So the second argument is length of the array. I'll call it int n, small letter n. This is first big, okay? I'll call it int of f big, denoting it for first big. So this is second big, s big. Okay, we need to have data type here. So int of s big. Now we need to have base condition first, or termination condition, so that we could avoid this function getting into infinite recursive calling, okay? So let me first write the base condition or the termination condition. So if this index, which is present in n, remember it points to the last index of the array. So also note that these first two locations have already been sorted, right? A of 0 and a of 1. Remember the code present inside your main method. These two things have already been sorted, and the first biggest has been assigned to first and second biggest has been assigned to second, right? Let me highlight the code too. So this has already been sorted out, so we need not compare it again with these two values, okay? So the last index to compare is 2. So if n is less than index 2, That's it. This is the termination condition. If the index is less than 2, we will simply output the values of variables first big and second big. Okay, we need not compare the values of f big and s big again with a of 0 and a of 1. So we will output the values present inside f big and s big if and when n value is less than 2. Okay, got it? So the result will be present inside variables f big and s big. So this is the end condition, or the termination condition, or base condition as it is called. Now we will write the logic inside else block. So now if whatever is present inside f big or first big is in fact less than whatever is present inside star num, that is some other number inside the array is greater than f big, in that case f big become second big, right? So let me assign that value to s big now. Whatever is present inside f big, assign it to s big, and then assign the new biggest value to f big. That's it. So else if there is another condition, that new value may not be greater than f big, but it might be greater than s big, right? So we could check for that condition too inside else if condition. So else if star num is greater than s big. So in that case, transfer the value of star num to s big because it's bigger than s big. So we could check for one more condition here. So what if user has entered same value twice in this array? Assume that we have 2 6 here. So 6 is not greater than 6, but 6 is greater than s big. So to avoid such a condition, we could have another condition here, and both of these conditions must be true, and star num should not be equal to whatever is present inside f big. In that case, s big and f big won't be same. Okay, so that's why I add this condition too. Now let me call the same function f big recursively here. Okay, so f s big. Now since this is pointing to the last index of the array, let me decrement the value or the address of num by 1 for each call. Okay, now the second parameter points to the last index of the array, so let me decrement the value of index by 1 for each call. Now let me pass the new values of f big and s big, that is first big and second big. Okay, those are present here. F big, let me write that first, and s big. So that's it. So at some point n value becomes less than 2. So let me remove all these things. Hope you understood main method logic here. I'm making space so that I could trace the values of star num n f big and s big and show the results to you. So this is not f b big, it must have been f s big. Okay, so now let's trace the values of star num n f big and s big. So please observe the changes in this value carefully here. So this points to the last index, and since we have star num here, it fetches the value present at that address, which is 3. So n minus 1 is 4. So first f big and s big. So f big is 5 and s big is 2. So now the control is transferred to the function. So 4 is not less than 2. So else block code executes. So 3 is not greater than 5. So this block of code inside if doesn't get executed. So let's check else block. So 3 is greater than s big and 3 is not equal to f big. So transfer the value of star num to s big. Now let me reduce the value of num by 1. So initially it's here, now it points here. So the value is 4. Minus minus n is 4 minus 1, which is 3. Since this if block didn't get executed, the value of f big remains same. Now the recursive call. So n is 3, 3 not less than 2. Okay, so else block code. 4 is greater than 5, no. So else if 4 is greater than 3, yes, right, and 4 is not equal to f big. Okay, so the code inside this else if block gets executed, that is star num is transferred to s big. Now decrement the value of num by 1, it has 6 there. Minus minus n is 3 minus 1 is 2. F big value remains same. Now the recursive call, 2 less than 2, no, false. So now 6 is greater than 5, s true. So transfer the value of f big, which is 5, to s big. Now transfer the value of star num to f big, which is 6. Now check this. 6 is greater than 5, s true, but 6 is equal to f big. It must be not equal to execute this code. So now the recursive call, minus minus n points to 2, minus minus num points to 2, minus minus n, 2 minus 1 is 1. Recursive call. Now 1 is less than 2, it's true. So printf gets executed. Biggest is f big. Oh, we have written a wrong statement here. It must have been first big and second big. My apologies. So first big is 6 and second big is 5. Just change the wordings inside this printf. Okay, first big is 6 and second big is 5 in this case. Still we have some shortcomings in this code. For example, what if user enters same element for all the array elements? We will be fixing that in our code. So please follow along the code till the end of this video. Okay, we'll be showing you how to fix most of the bugs here. So let's get started. I'll declare array variable a of n being macro, I for loop, first and second for first big and second big. Okay, so I'll ask the user to enter %d integer numbers. So value of %d is present inside macro n. Let me write the regular for loop. Iterate until I is less than n. For each iteration, increment the value of I by 1. %d, store it inside address of integer array variable a of I. So let me define this macro and I'll give n value as 5. So now let's assign initial values to variables first and second. So let's compare between a of 0 and a of 1. Whichever is biggest, let's assign it to variable first. In this case, if a of 0 is greater than a of 1, we will assign a of 0 to first and a of 1 to second. So let me copy these two lines of code and paste it inside else block. So now if this condition is not true, in that case a of 1 is bigger than a of 0, right? So let me assign a of 1 to first and a of 0 to second. So now let's call the method fsBig. So if you have been following our video tutorial, we would pass the base address first, okay, as first argument, and then length of the array, and then the initial values of first and second. In this case, let's pass the address of last element of this array as first argument. So now let me define this method. Since this method doesn't return anything, I'll have an return type of void. So this is an address, right? So we need to have pointer variable to receive it. I'll call it star num. So second argument is length of the array. I'll take int small letter n So this is first big, I'll call it F big, and this one is second big, I'll call it S big. So now let's first write the base condition or the termination condition. So this is the index n, right? So whenever n is less than, we used to write 0, but the first two indexes, that is a of 0 and a of 1, has already been assigned to first and second, right? We need not compare those two elements once again. So let's end this iteration, that is recursive call, once index is less than 2. So let me display the results whenever n is less than 2. The result will be present inside variable f big and s big. So inside else block we will be writing our logic and also the recursive call. So if star num has a value which is greater than f big, so in that case f big became second big because some other element is bigger than f big, right? So f big is second big now. So let me assign the value present inside f big to s big, and then assign the biggest element present inside star num to f big. Simple. Now else if, another condition, this new number that is present inside star num may not be greater than f big, but it might be greater than s big, right? So in that case, transfer that new found second big number to s big. It must be star num. Now let me call this method after this else if block. So this is called recursive call. So now the first argument is pointing to the last address. So we need to decrement the address and not increment it. It will go out of bounds. So this second argument is pointing to the last index. So we need to decrement it as well for each call until n is less than 2. So f big and s big will have new values, might have new values if this if or else if block gets executed. Now at some point n value will become less than 2 and our printf statement gets executed, and that's the end of this recursive call. Okay, so let's check the output. So I'll give 1 2 3 4 and 5. So first big is 5 and second big is 4. What if user enters same number twice, like 1 2 3 5 5? So it will output first big as 5 and second big as 5 too, but we want first big as 5 and second big as 3. In this case 3 is the next biggest element, right? So I'll add a condition here. See, observe here, when there are two elements of same value, in that case both s big and f big will have same element. So to avoid that, I'll add and if this star num is not equal to f big, then only execute this code inside else if block. Now I'll give 1 2 5 5 and 3. So it will output first big as 5 and second big as 3. So let me try this once again and show the result to you. This time I'll give 1 2 3 5 and 5. First big is 5 and second big is 3. But we have a bug here. Let me show that to you. If I give 5 5 3 2 and 1, that is repeated elements are at position a of 0 and a of 1, so it's giving wrong results. Why? Can you guess that? Because we are handling this logic inside main method and we are not taking care of not repeating the same value. Okay, let me fix that in main method itself. So let us iterate through all the elements of the array, because not only the first two elements, the user might enter same value for first three elements, right? So let's check. So let me cut the entire code and paste it inside the for loop. Oh, we need to have another condition before this if else to check the values present inside a of I is not equal to 0. Okay, we are assuming that user might enter multiple values, same values. Okay, so we will check if a of I is not equal to a of 0, whichever value is which is not equal to 0, store that value as second big. We don't want to store the same numbers in first and second variables. Okay, so in second, that is the second variable, that is the variable name is second, we will be storing a of I. Okay, hope you got the logic. User might enter multiple numbers which are same. In that case, using this if condition, we will check the value which is not equal to a of 0, and then we will be storing that value to variable second. Once we found that, we will break out of this for loop instead of checking for elements till the end. Okay, so I guess this works. So whichever element which is not equal to a of 0, we will check against that which one is greater, a of 0 or whatever is present inside a of I, and we need to fix this. This is a of I and not a of 1. And if a of 0 is greater than a of I, if block gets executed, or else block gets executed. Let's check that out if it actually works. So let's check that 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, and it's working. 5 is first big and 4 is second big. Okay, now let me remove this and have ternary operator or conditional operator. So I'll write a of 0 is greater than a of I. So question mark, so that's the syntax, colon and semicolon, which is end of this ternary operator. Here one condition, and we will have some statements here. So if this condition a of 0 is greater than a of I, we will pass that a of 0 to first and a of I to second. And if this condition a of 0 is greater than a of I is false, then execute this block of code, that is a of I will be assigned to first and a of 0 will be assigned to second. So this looks compact, right? So I prefer using ternary operators or conditional operator. So let us check that once again. So I'll give 5, 5, 4 to 1. So again it's working properly. The first big is 5 and second big is 4. Now still we have some errors. What if the user enters same number for all the positions of this array? In that case, the block of code inside if condition never gets executed, right? So we won't have initial values for variables first and second. So we will be passing some garbage values to fsBig method, right? You get my point, right? This if condition, that is a of I is not equal to a of 0, never becomes true. So the block of code inside if block never gets executed. So let me give 5, 5, 5, 5 and 5. So as you can see, the first big is 8 and second big is 46, which user never entered. So to fix that, I'll take a variable count and give it an initial value of 0. This is a very simple fix. So inside else block, I'll simply count the number of times this if block didn't get executed. So if this count is equal to the size of the array, in this case, we can safely understand that user has entered same element for all the positions of the array. So in that case, I'll output the biggest, that is first biggest, and second biggest as same number. Like I'll output the same numbers, that is first biggest %d, second biggest %d, and I'll output the values present inside a of 0 and a of 0. Anyway, all the positions have same elements, so it doesn't matter. And then return 0, that is this would terminate the program here itself. So let us check that. So user enters same number for all the positions of the array. So biggest is 5 and first biggest is 5, second biggest is 5. Cool. So now let me give 1, 2, 3, 5, 5. So first big is 5, second big is 3. Perfect. So let me give 5532 432. So first big is 5, second big is 4. Again, what else we could do? So let us take array variable here, num of brackets, empty brackets. So num of the index value which is present inside n. So let me replace star num with num of n. This is one more method to accomplish the same task. So num of n. So since we are modifying the position, that is index value, we need not change the address of num. Okay, for this to work properly, we need to send base address. I'll tell you why. Let me first execute and see if this logic actually works. So let us give some input 55432. So first big is 5 and second big is 4. It's working. So let me give 1 2 3 5 5 repeated elements at the end of the array, and it's working. So internally, why I'm sending the base address is because internally num of n is converted into star the base address num plus the position or the index. Internally the compiler converts num of n to star num plus n every single time in all the programs. Wherever you write base address of position, it will be converted into star base address plus position, because it's faster, way faster to operate with addresses than with variables. So I'll give 55432 and it's working perfectly. Let me give 2 3 4 5 5. So 5 is first biggest and 4 is second biggest. It's still working the same. So I think everything is clear now. Please concentrate on these logics. Don't get confused here. Trace the value changes whenever this fs big is called recursively each time, and whenever this index is less than 2, the recursive call ends and the result gets printed out onto the console window. So please visit the link present on your computer screen right now to learn the basics and some advanced topics about arrays, pointers, and how to use these arrays and pointers with functions. It will be very useful. Okay, so please visit the link present in the description section of this YouTube video for source code, notes, and discussion about this topic. Stay subscribed to our YouTube channel and blog, and please share this video with your friends on WhatsApp, Telegram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And please do not forget to like this video on YouTube. Thank you.